Greetings, goobers floating through the world as time passes. It's been a minute since I posted, but here we are with a special feature to mark crossing over 10 episodes. Yay! Thus far, we've been talking about old and new bands that exemplify how to use the stage as a platform for queer self-expression and activism, mainly through the punk genre. As we have learned, there are many ways to do that. In all of the bands we have explored so far, not every piece of music sounds like what punk sounded like when it originated in the 1970s. We know punk and queerness inherently pins itself against established norms, so it's no surprise that the music style has also evolved. To continue to explore how artists use their music to express taboo topics like queerness and inherently punk sentiment, I want to explore the origins and evolutions of the post-punk scene. Post-punk literally means after punk. The label encompasses a variety of genres that emerged in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Musically, the introduction of more electronic instruments like synths was common, along with heavier reliance on effects like reverb. A lot of the singers also favored deeper octaves, creating an overall ominous vibe. The music made in this era was considered more sophisticated, with emotional expressions beyond punk's focus on anger. Other terms that originated for this musical style are new wave and goth. Artists who were pioneers in this genre were ingrained in the punk scene. These artists instead defined punk as an imperative to constant change, believing that radical content demands radical form. Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols, for example, reverted to using his given name of John Lydon and made new wave music with Public Image Limited. Members of Joy Division, a pioneer post-punk band, were inspired to make music after attending a Sex Pistols concert. The group consisted of vocalist, guitarist, and lyricist Ian Curtis, guitarist and keyboardist Bernard Sumner, bassist Peter Hook, and drummer Stephen Morris. Tony Wilson, Joy Division's manager, comments on the band's relationship to the genre. I give Bernard the credit for this thought, which is that punk enabled you to say fuck you, but somehow it couldn't go any further. It was just a single, venomous, two-syllable phrase of anger which was necessary to reignite rock and roll, but sooner or later, someone was going to want to say more than fuck you. Someone was going to want to say, I'm fucked, and it was Joy Division who were the first band to do that, to use the energy and simplicity of punk to express more complex emotions. Aside from Ian Curtis's distinct baritone to add to the depth of the new wave that Joy Division were forming, the lead singer also had interesting personal connections to punk godfathers and queerness. His style of dress was inspired by both David Bowie and Iggy Pop, who we discussed back in episode 2. Barry Nicholson from NME writes, Curtis was a man of deep contradictions. A sensitive artist with a taste for bohemian writers like Bergs and Ballard, he was also a loyal Tory voter who vehemently opposed immigration and flirted with fascistic imagery. In her 1995 biography Touching from a Distance, Deborah Curtis characterized her husband as a man who veered between good-natured generosity and selfish control freakery, and who she once suspected of having homosexual affairs. She expands, he had an intense interest in the way other people lived, especially those who led lives which were out of the ordinary. Even though we will never know exactly where Ian stood due to his passing by suicide at the age of 23, I think it's important to note these connections rather than exclude them, since even potential divergence from cishet standards tends to be erased. After Ian's death, the remainder of Joy Division re-envisioned themselves as a new order. Their most popular single, Blue Monday, is listed as a synth pop and alternative dance track, highlighting how moving out of genres both has punk roots and is inherently punk to continue to experiment and evolve. This also brought the artists into the early 1980s golden age of pop hits, a lot of which were tied to and important to the queer community. A modern band that exemplifies all of this is called Vision Video. The band formed in Athens, Georgia, with their debut LP, Inked in Red, completed in 2021. Lead singer Dusty Gannon uses the music to reflect on his experiences in the military and speaks out against the atrocities of the military-industrial complex. In addition to capturing the post-punk and goth sound that originated with bands like Joy Division and The Cure, Vision Video also uses their overall platform on and off the stage to break down gender stereotypes and destigmatize bisexuality. I was particularly honored to see them live in 2022 and 2023, the latter of which saw Dusty give a speech about how he was raised in Berlin and talk a little about the history about how the fall of the Berlin Wall was linked to youth activism. Dusty encouraged the audience to take care of each other and highlighted just how important the community of alternative music is to creating social change. So punk has always been about the mentality to do better and go beyond the establishment. It naturally follows that the music can involve just as much as perspectives around social change do. The post-punk scene is just one example of the many ways the music did evolve while holding on to punk ideals, including creating spaces where nonconformity, like queerness, can survive and thrive. Thank you to all my viewers and listeners for your patient journey alongside me. I cannot wait to keep exploring with you. As always, don't forget to share suggestions for new videos in the comments. Bye for now.